Alright, we picked the energy supply, and alright, I'm Scott. Okay, whatever. Okay, energy supply. We predicted that in 2100 there would be no more oil, so then we would have to rely on wind energy, tidal energy, nuclear energy, water energy, solar energy, and geothermal, and some other ones that might come up that we missed, and to replace the oil that we will not have. And we were thinking maybe every single building would have like windmills to create their own power, just maybe like 3% of the use, but 3% is better than 0%. And then tidal is not being used right now, but I read about it. And it's basically the waves create energy with spinning coils around, or spinning magnets around coils, which creates energy. And so they can map out the whole ocean and get a lot of energy from that. Nuclear energy we already know about. Water energy is like building dams and hydrothermal or hydroelectricity. And solar energy we know also, and we would just multiply the use of it. And geothermal is basically taking the heat from the earth and using it to create energy as well. And it would just be more of these power plants to make up for the loss of the oil.
I think excellent.
We decided to do transportation, and we kind of figured out that we weren't really going to do anything to prevent it, because I don't think a lot of people would be on board for that. But if we were to prevent it, maybe doing carpools and having certain hours where you can run your car or not. But in the year what is it? Is it the 22nd century, I guess. We are going to have different forms of transportation, such as maybe teleportation, if we can prevent that. Another idea was to be transported by nail tubes. Like there's just going to be a bunch of tubes, you step in, and it's like a vacuum, and you get sucked wherever you want to go. Another one is if the earth does flood and if there's less land to be had, then water, kind of like a water world idea where we travel by boat and stuff, or live on boats, I guess.
Targeting the idea that carbon dioxide is what's causing the global warming. Start like having government programs and tax incentives. That way, people will stop like using gas guzzling cars, and like maybe exchange programs so you can turn in your truck that has like 2 miles to the gallon, maybe upgrade to something that has like maybe 15 miles to the gallon. Like with a small fee, you know, because you'll be saving money and you'll be helping out. Maybe increasing the use of like propane and like those type of power supplies, because propane is a natural gas. It's like it's more like it saves you money and it's less toxic to the environment or whatever. And maybe like a magnetic world, more like I don't know in Florida, but I do know in Florida because there aren't very many, at least in Orlando where I live, but like they have subways and like the MARTA in Atlanta and stuff like that. So maybe have more like public works transportation systems rather than, you know, you drive your car to like this parking garage and you can take that into the city and then get to where you need to go. But I guess it costs a lot of money, so it's not going to happen very soon.
Excellent. Very, 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 thank you very much. All right. Photovoltaics, and that deals with the energy supply as well. This is apartments for, I think, low income that an architect named Lawrence Scarpa designed. And all the blue that you see right there, it's all solar panels. And if you don't know what photovoltaic means, it's solar panels. And we were thinking about like the building infrastructure, the efficiency of the building, which is what a lot of green buildings is going towards. Like, say if you add a second roof to your house right now, that'll lower your heating and cooling costs by probably up to 50%, if not more. So we're thinking things like that, like sheets and walls of these photovoltaics everywhere to really like grab a lot of energy. Insulation will probably be like combining with cladding, which you guys should know if you're in BCM, but if not, that means the skin of the building, to basically keep the cool in and the heat out. So by whatever means, be it like secondary roofs or thicker walls or something. the use of natural light. This is all stuff that's being done now, but I'm sure like in 2100 we'll have it down. Like these, the blinds up back here, those are light louvers. That's bringing natural light into the building very efficiently. Water supply, like upstairs they have waterless urinals in this building, things like that, using a lot less water to fuel our lives.
Or harvest rainwater.
Harvest rainwater, like
Yeah.
those roofs or anything with cisterns could be done as such. Material durability is something that the green movement is going towards, like using concrete and steel as opposed to wood that is going to need to be replaced, making your building last 300 years as opposed to 40. Lights, as in the windows lights, like using low E glass or high E glass. It's basically repelling radiative heat from the sun and letting in the light. So different tints, and somebody brought up the idea of like hurricane resistant glass.
Yes.
Like we're going to be like needing thicker, more durable lights. Lighting, LED lights are a big deal. I think that's like you use one point source and then bring it to different places through fiber optics.
cables.
Right, excellent. So like ideas of LED lighting would probably replace all lighting that we have now. And denser living, like this goes hand in hand with the transportation. Denser living is like going to be the key, building up instead of out. The suburban sprawl, it is South Florida, is the most wasteful way of living ever. And if you have denser living, where your workplaces and living places are closer, you can take only public transportation. Like possibly in 2100 people will not have cars. They will be all public transportation or walking distance. And if it's like 500 degrees outside, you're not going to want to walk a long distance anyway. So
True.
cladding, repellent of heat, double roof. Oh, and the use of like green within your building, not green architecture, but like bringing gardens into the building.
Yeah.
Using green to clad the outside so it absorbs a lot of heat, photons, you say?
Sure.
Yeah, and for the roof too. That would be like your double roof right there. Because I know that if you have like, you know, ivy or whatnot growing on the outside of your building, that lowers the cooling costs as well.
We'll live like the Teletubbies.
Right, exactly.
All right, bring up the beer.
In addition to having it on the outside of your building, bringing a garden within the building for like a contemplative space definitely will bring a lot more relationship between a human and the environment.
Yes.
Like that's really important, that not only are we building to respect the environment and save our future, but to actually have like a physical connection. It'll bring more O2 and make people appreciate it.
Very good. Okay.
Basically, we got to get rid of gas, fossil fuels, and all that kind of crap. So basically, we got to start relying on public transportation, and we got to stop being so lazy like me. Got to actually start getting out, go bike riding and stuff like that. So I'd actually be in shape, and like we'd have to start using windmills for more efficient energy and that kind of crap. Start maybe going back to using horses like back in cowboy days. And if we do get screwed, like in 2100, use like trained dolphins, like horses, and they can carry us around.
Right. That, but I don't think riding dolphins, and I don't know if we do that. But the reason for us, we chose transportation as well, and we figured to stop it now, we'd probably just mainstream vehicles, hybrid vehicles, vehicles that run on hydrogen. We chose not to do ethanol because ethanol leads to deforestation, soil erosion. Basically, vehicles that run on battery-powered hybrids, you know, major brands like Toyota Prius. I know some of you guys look at a car and like, what is that thing? It only goes like 60 miles per hour. But, you know, for those of you who like your V8, you know, you like your 500 horsepower, you know, there's other car companies out there that have, you know, technology that's like going to be able to like push like over 400 horsepower on just like battery operated or just hybrid. Also, to mainstream, we decided, yeah, you can't go fast, you gotta go slow. So we decided that there must be like policies, like certain times of day to drive, or you can have like carpool policies and anything like that. Other than that, that's it. You got like a tunnel. If you want to go across these, take the tunnel. You know, we could be like underground tunnels with magnet trains that go really fast, stuff like that.
Maglev,
yeah. Yeah, and that's about it. That's what we think about transportation. Thank you very much.
You'll be surprised what battery power can do. These guys in California, they got a bunch of laptop batteries together, and this car goes 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. It runs on laptop batteries. Okay? So the old batteries hate the new batteries. That's changing really, really fast.
The Lexus, the GS, it goes 0 to 60. It's a 4-door car. It goes 0 to 60 in like 5.1 seconds, and it does like 35 miles per gallon. Just turns off cylinders and runs off fast.
Yeah.
Like, and Lexus has another Jeep now that does more mileage inside the city than on the highway.
That's correct. That's correct. You're going to process slower. Okay.
Again, it's a big deal. First, what's going to have to happen is continued education on the need for more efficient transportation, like this class and this presentation. There's going to have to be work on government incentives for research to improve the efficiency and transportation stuff. Of course, we work on public transportation, encouraging more buses, the subways, and all that. Like Travis was saying about the suburb spread, you got to get more centralized so you can use the public transportation. You can, to improve efficiency with the engines now, you can lower the speed limit, things like that. Working on the hybrid and hydroelectric vehicles, which at this point in time, hydroelectricity isn't that efficient to produce right now because you still have to burn petroleum to make it. But using things like biodiesel and other solar-powered vehicles. But we found that the best way to reduce the need for the energy is to become more centralized into communities and things like that.
Construction in Orlando is becoming more centralized because of Veranda Park and Baldwin Park, where I live near. People are learning to like work where they live, and like it's being built mostly for a place where you can eat, live, work, and be like entertainment, like nightlife. I know because, well, that's very important in Orlando because we have all the tourists, and a lot of people like to get away from the tourism. But it's just mostly we're trying to reduce the transportation needs. Like the schools are becoming more in the center of the like neighborhoods and stuff like that. Like you actually have to go into neighborhoods to get to the like middle schools and high schools over near where I live. So it's becoming more centralized, reducing the need for using your car to go everywhere. Everything's like within 3 miles.
So constructing the built environment in a way which basically obviates the need for vehicles altogether. Excellent. Very, very, very good. Number side, other side?
We also have transportation. Well, basically it's the same thing you're repeating over and over. What I was thinking, I didn't really think of it as 2100. Like what we do if everything messes up, but I think right now the key to it is more optimization and more combination of things. Maybe we didn't include this here, but maybe even trying to have governments push forward competition, because all innovation comes because of competition. Like the only reason now that gas mileage is getting better in cars is because Honda and Toyota started doing that, and American companies are able to happen. And now it's competition. So like if they find a way to encourage that in automobiles, I'm sure the cameraman is doing an excellent job. Was speaking also about maybe having cars in they could collect water, but not really that, but wind, like its own proportion, could have a fan system to help itself out. As in, like I said, even if it's a small percentage, 3%, 2%, that's something. When you calculate that in a year, it's 5 gallons of gas or 10 gallons of gas in a year. 10 gallons of gas per person for a lifetime is maybe you give 10 more years of petroleum in a life. It's a lot of little things. And she's going to continue right now.
We thought also about, not with cars and everything, that we need to do more research. You know, is it going to be biofuels? Is it going to be solar cars? We need to do more research on that. But also, in the short term, doing that, we obviously, we've already talked about it, we need to commute more, make things more central, etc. But also, we need to start thinking ahead of how those cars are produced and the factories that are producing those and their methods of how they're getting their energy. So we've been kind of backing up from that.
Okay, some of the long-term goals would be like making smaller engines in cars and putting more restrictions on making like more gas-guzzling cars like Hummers and SUVs. So it's harder to put out those products to the public, and they don't want to buy it as much. And also, instead of putting tax exemptions and like lower taxes for owners of SUVs, give it to owners of more efficient cars and make it more appealing to buyers.
Yeah, like all dealerships now are like, oh, reduce prices for buying SUVs. Like maybe they should only warrant the purchase of SUVs for large families. Or okay, if you have 5 people in your family, okay, a slight reduction, but everybody else. Or if you're a single man and you just want to drive a huge truck, no, like please
Drive a Yugo. I like it. So basically, you do the life cycle thing. You got the policy mechanisms. Do you have anything?
And there's new technology as far as like they're doing some research on hydrogen cars, but they don't have any way to store the hydrogen right now. So they're storing the hydrogen. They're trying to find a way to store the hydrogen in metal so that it can be used as fuel because hydrogen is one of the most abundant gases that we have in our atmosphere.
He was telling us about, Karen was telling us about a car in Paris, was it?
What? Oh, the air, yeah, in France, they have a car running on air, just on air, pressurized air on tanks.
Pressurized air, yeah.
Yeah.
We're back to steam. Like, but you know, it takes a lot of energy.
Yes, that's true, that's true. Excellent, guys.
Basically, the last one is transportation energy supply, like everyone else has said, like using alternate powered cars, but making the transition easier for the economy by weeding gasoline powered cars out, by still making a few so that people don't have to purchase the other cars, but making it more that people can afford it, they can buy the alternate powered cars, and then over time it'll be as if they didn't exist. So.
Very good, very good. You guys? You were the building.
On the industry that needs to change now for the future. They're gonna, of course, they smarted up to our problem, and they're gonna use their millions of dollars to put it into research to find new technologies. They're gonna stop releasing carbon dioxide and other pollutants into the world because they're gonna realize that if they continue to do that, their industries are gonna stop because there won't be anything. At the same time, they'll also stop using fossil fuels. To do that, they're going to use the money that they put into the research to find, to make their plants, their factories, everything more efficient. They're going to use green buildings like this one. They're going to have solar powered. They're going to start developing those industries. You're going to see the industries that are used to make green products. You're going to see them grow, like solar powered. People that make that, they're going to start growing. People that make organic foods, they're going to start becoming more popular. It's going to start becoming cheaper to buy electric cars and these things because the market for them is going to grow. Greater demand, lower price. They're also going to start finding new energy sources, not just the alternative ones that we have now. Maybe they're going to use, the heat out of the air instead of just the energy from sunlight. They'll make, they might start taking energy up from the Earth's core. Who knows? That's what the research is going to do. That's what we're hoping, that the industries are going to start, opening their minds to finding these new ways to slow down or maybe reverse the path that the Earth is headed on.
Excellent. Very, very good. Industry, basically, this is the theme. And actually, that's very true. Industry is a huge component, and it's not one thing. It's not like you talk to one guy and say, it's actually a spread out thing. So it's bit by bit. And do we have 2 more left? Miss P? Can we get you guys up here all together? So we
mentioned stuff that was mentioned. Maybe if people ride their bicycles, they can get like a tax break or a tax incentive, and that would also address our obesity issue. Maybe cars could be required to have a higher mile per gallon minimum. You could put limits on gasoline usage, maybe give people like a monthly gas card or something, and people that drive hybrids or more efficient cars could get a little bit more. Maybe a portion of every car sold could go towards paying for better public transportation, like the high-speed rail issue. Also, I read that more nighttime air flights is better because it has less of a contrail, and so all the little photons and whatever they do up there, it's not as bad. So.
Excellent. That's really, really good. Everybody, actually in England, they're talking about a carbon card. It looks like a credit card, but everybody gets allotted a certain amount of carbons per year. And the people that use a lot, they have to go on eBay or whatever and buy cards for people that are using less. And that's a serious thing to discussing, and you kind of touched on that. Guys?
Well, 100% approach transportation to like to stop global warming, or at least slow it down. One of the first things that came to our mind was supporting public transport, like the government to embrace building infrastructures for more buses, subways, trains, monorails, and things like that. We could run those on greener technology rather than traditional diesel running the engines, or run the electricity to run them if they're electrically powered. We do hybridization, hydrogen fuel cells, ethanol or E85, biodiesel, or even electromagnetic propulsion if you can get it running right.
Yeah, like you were saying, the diesel power, like biodiesel, I think is really growing. I got a friend in town actually. He goes around and picks up used vegetable oil from like places that do like a lot of fried food, like fried chicken and whatnot, and so he makes the recycled vegetable oil with like, methanol and lime, and that creates like awesome fuel. It's also sells for cheaper than regular diesel. And also, like the other group said, the centralization, like I don't know if y'all, anyone's from Gainesville, is in the Southwest, the Hale Plantation. They just built a Publix there. They have a couple restaurants. They have like barber shop, all the basic recreational things. Good.
So, urban planning,
yeah, urban
biodiesel, new technologies, flex fuels, hybrids. Excellent. Excellent, guys. Well, this is it. This is it. We have no more. Thank you, guys. And it's on the website, too, this stuff.